Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraya.
Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should first offer respectful obeisances unto Supreme Personality of God in Narayan, unto Narayan Vishnu, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Bhakti, the author. Srinvatam Swakata Krishna
Srinvatam Sakatha Krishna
Punya Shravana Kirtanaha
Punya Shravana Kirtanaha
Ridhyantasto hi Bhadrani
Ridhyantasto Abhadrani
Vidunoti Suhritsatam
Vidhunoti Suritsatam.
Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nashta praeshu abhadreshu
Nashta praeshu abhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhaktir Bhavati Nishtiki
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki.
By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact.
Joy.
So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 19, the last chapter in the first canto, and it's called The Appearance of Shukadeva Goswami. So, we're discussing the situation that caused him to appear. So we're in text 5, and so really, I can see it better. So much easier. These tiny italics there, so we're going to need to do with the reading lessons. Like this is all right. Reading this, we didn't know this. Ato Vihayemam Amum Cha Lokam Ato Vihayemam Amum Cha Lokam Vimarshito Heyataya Purastat Vimarshito Heyataya Vimarshitao Heyataya Purastat Krishnangri Sevam Adhimanyamana Krishnangri Sevam Adhimanyamana Krishnangri Sevam Adhimanyamana. Tongue twister today for me. Upavishat Prayam Amartya Nadyam Upavishat Prayam Amartya Nadyam Ato Vihayemam Amum Chalokam Vimarshito Heyataya Purastat Krishnangri Sevam Adhimanyamana Upavishat Prayam Amartya Nadyam Ato Vihayemam Amum Chalokam Vimarshito Heyataya Purastat Krishnangri Sevam Adhimanyamana Upavishat Prayam Amartya Nadyam Is that 2 or 3?
3.
Okay, go for it.
Ato Vihayemam Amum Chalokam Vimarshitao Kayata Purasat Krishnagri Sevam Abhimanyamana Upavisat Prayam Amartyanajam
Ato Vihayemam Amum Chalokam Vimarshitao Heyataya Purastat Krishnangri Sevam Adhimanyamana Upavisat Prayam Amartyanadhyam Ato Vihayemam Amum Chalokam Vimarshitao Heyataya Purastat Krishnam Sevam Adhimanyamana Upavisat Prayam Amartanatyam Atho Vihaya Mamam Chalokam Bimashita Vihirdaya Purasta Krishnam Sevam Adhimanyamana Upavisat Prayam Amartanatyam Atho Vihaya Mamam Chalokam Vimarshita Uhirataya Purasta Krishnangri Sevam Adhimanyamana Upavishat Prayam Amartyanadhyam
Ato Vihaya Mamam Chalokam
Atho Vihaya Mamam Chalokam
Vimasita Heyataya Purastat
Vimarshita Uhirataya Purasta
Krishnangiri Sevam Adhimanyamana
Krishnangri Sevam Adhimanyamana
Upavisat Prayam Amartyanatyam
Upavishat Prayam Amartyanadhyam
Okay, word meanings. Ato, thus, Vihaya, giving up, Imam, this, Amum, and the next, Cha, also, Lokam, planets, Vimarshito, all of them being judged, Heyataya, because of inferiority, Purastat, herein before, Krishna Angri, the lotus feet of the Lord, Sri Krishna, Sevam, transcendental loving service, Adhimanyamana, one who thinks of the greatest of all achievements, Upavishat, sat down firmly, Prayam, for fasting, Amartyanadyam, on the bank of the transcendental river, parentheses, the Ganges or the Jamuna. Okay, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
I'll read it once through. Maharaj Parikshit sat down firmly on the banks of the Ganges to concentrate his mind in Krishna consciousness, rejecting all other practices of self-realization, because transcendental loving service to Krishna is the greatest achievement, superseding all other methods. Please repeat. Maharaj Parikshit sat down firmly. On the banks of the Ganges. To concentrate his mind in Krishna consciousness. Rejecting all other practices of self-realization. Because transcendental loving service to Krishna is the greatest achievement, superseding all other methods. Purport. For a devotee like Maharaj Parikshit, none of the material planets, even the topmost Brahmaloka, is as desirable as Goloka Vrindavan, the abode of Lord Sri Krishna, the primeval Lord and original personality of Godhead. This, on a second. Sorry. It's a magnet that sticks to itself. Let's see. Okay. This Earth is one of the innumerable material planets within the universe, and there are innumerable universes also within the compass of the Mahatattva. The devotees are told by the Lord and his representatives, the spiritual masters or acharyas, that not one of the planets within all the innumerable universes is suitable for the residential purpose of a devotee. The devotee always desires to go back home, back to Godhead, just to become one of the associates of the Lord in the capacity of servitor, friend, parent, or conjugal lover of the Lord, either in one of the innumerable Vaikuntha planets or in Goloka Vrindavan, the planet of Lord Shri Krishna. All these planets are eternally situated in the spiritual sky, the Paravyoma, which is on the other side of the causal ocean within the Mahatattva. Maharaj Parikshit was already aware of all this information due to his accumulated piety and birth in a high family of devotees, Vaishnavas, and thus he was not at all interested in the material planets. Modern scientists are very eager to reach the moon by material arrangements, but they cannot conceive of the highest planet of this universe. But a devotee like Maharaj Parikshit does not care a fig for the moon, or for that matter, any of the material planets. So when he was assured of his death on the fixed date, he became more determined in the transcendental loving service of Lord Krishna by complete fasting on the bank of the transcendental river Jamuna, which flows down by the capital of Hastinapur in the Delhi state. Both the Ganges and the Jamuna are Amartya, transcendental rivers, and Jamuna is still more sanctified for the following reasons, refers to the next verse. So, Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and the spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge and opened my respectful obeisances in Gyan. So it explains that I guess spiritually it doesn't matter if you say Jamuna or Ganges because they're both holy rivers, and I think they join at a certain point, anyways. So you find it here. It seems to be switching back and forth because the Jamuna is closer to Delhi, and the Ganges is in the verse. So anyway, so Prabhupada says it doesn't really matter. They're both transcendental. You could be referring to either one. So point is, he went to the banks of a holy river, and to focus on Krishna because he knew he was going to die, and he was glad for this opportunity to do that. So let's see. Modern scientists are trying to get to the moon. Modern scientists are not trying to get to the moon as the moon is described, as a heavenly planet. They're trying to get to a ball of rock to exploit it for power or great achievements or maybe some minerals or who knows what. So they want to achieve a ball of rock. They don't even know about heavenly planets. And those who know about heavenly planets, they know about Krishna. The heavenly planets don't hold that much attraction because it doesn't matter how much beauty there is. There's a wall between us and Krishna until we can go to see Krishna, until we can see Krishna and go there. We want Krishna. There's nothing else. No amount of beauty or sense gratification or happiness, pleasure, no amount of material happiness, no amount of any of that will satisfy this need for Krishna. We once had a friend. It says in, I forget which canto, because I didn't look that up, where the story of the Narada Muni told a story to King Prachinavarshi about King Puranjana, a fictional, metaphorical, not really fictional because he stands for all of us. But King Puranjana is a metaphorical king, and he was very attached to his kingdom. And when he died and was hauled away by the Yamadutas, and he was put in the body of a woman who was then married to a nice Brahmana, who then got old. They both got old and went to the forest, and the Brahmana died, and the woman was alone in the forest, and she didn't know what to do. And she is despairing and grieving and all that, and along comes an old Brahmana who says to her, "You may not recognize me, but don't you remember that you once had a friend? And we used to go together, like two swans flying from lake to lake." So this is the indication that here we are, we're all in this situation. We once had a friend. And he's still in our heart, but we can't see him. So we miss him, no matter what. We miss him. There's nothing else that can fill that void except this friend, because he's a real friend. And so we are looking for that friend, but we're looking for love in all the wrong places, like the song goes. Looking for love in all the wrong places. We're looking for love in the material beauty. We're looking for love in material relationships of souls that also are missing the love of the same friend. But within the bodies and the identities that we have in this world, it's all temporary, and there's no lasting satisfaction in those friendships, because they're based on temporariness, and they are not they're not focused, they're not centered on Krishna. So we are missing that friend, and nothing else will satisfy. But we need guidance until we have. It's funny how deep we are, that just because we hear about Krishna, we don't say, "Yeah, that's what I want. I don't need this stuff." It takes time, because we're so profoundly attached to these other things. That's why in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, or Prabhupada says it, I think more than one place, that both of them say that we have to be free from karma yoga and jnana yoga. Of course, we have to be free from karma and jnana. We have to be free from the desire to do things to get material enjoyment. And we have to be free from the desire to have knowledge that we one with everything and not have to have a God or any individuality. Then we also have to be free from karma yoga and jnana yoga, which is those things, but aimed toward Krishna. So even though we may have to still do our duty externally, we have to be, which is related to karma, but we have to be pure in our desire. No more desire remaining for our material duties and then try to dovetail it to Krishna. No more desire for knowledge and then try to focus it on Krishna. Just Krishna, that friend that we had. We once had a friend. We still have a friend. He's in our heart. But it takes so long to realize that. So we cannot actually go back to Godhead until we're free of these things. So that's why it says over and over again in many places in the scriptures to abandon all varieties of religion. Easier said than done. It takes us a long time. But to be pure, it's sort of like if somebody wants to jump on a moving train that's just picking up, trying to catch a train, or those movies of the Wild West where the hero or the bandit or somebody's galloping, the outlaw or the hero are galloping on a horse as fast as the train, right up alongside the train, then they get off the horse onto the train. Whatever, you have to get on something, you have to get up to speed. So in order to go back to the spiritual world, which is absolutely pure of everything but the desire to please that friend, Krishna, nothing else up there, and everybody's happily pure in that desire to please Krishna. In order to fit in, you have to be going up to speed. So this is what all this training and spiritual advancement is about. And reading the books and getting purified inside, anartha nivritti, getting rid of unwanted things in the heart, practicing our devotional service, practicing taking care of the deities, practicing putting them center, practicing chanting our rounds, and practicing listening while we do it. All these things that make us slowly advance as we follow this program are to get us up to speed. And if we're not up to speed, but we're almost there, which is quite possible, we get to be born in a place where Krishna's pastimes are happening in the material world and get the final purification. If we're not up that high, we get to be born in a family of devotees so we can continue. We get whatever we need and whatever it takes, as long as we keep trying and moving forward and following the spiritual master's orders and thinking of Krishna and trying to love Krishna, we get whatever we need to bring us up to speed so that we can blend right in the spiritual world when we go. So that's what this is all about. In the beginning of the Bhagavatam, now it's right here in this verse, it's practically it's practically synonymous with the second verse in the whole Bhagavatam, which I'll read now. The first 3 verses are invoking, is that the word? They are like a prelude or something to the whole Bhagavatam. They're summing up the whole meaning of it. So this is the second one. And really long Sanskrit, and I think I'll spare everybody because I'm not that fluid about it. So the translation, completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated, this Bhagavad Purana propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. What a sentence. It seems mysterious in a way, but it sums up everything. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion. We're all in illusion. We're in Maya. And reality is Krishna, a relationship with Krishna. That's the highest truth. For the welfare of all, we're out there preaching. We're trying to share it to everybody. So this is the highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. Why? Because we're replacing our attachment to Maya with knowledge. So it uproots. The threefold miseries happen because we're attached to the body, and stuff happens to the body in the material world. Stuff happens to the body and the mind, and everybody is working with their body and mind, and we clash, and our desires clash with the other guy's desires, and all kinds of miseries happen. Miseries from threefold miseries from the demigods who manage the forces of nature for Krishna. Miseries from, so there's natural disasters and things like that. And it's too hot or it's too cold. And, let's see, miseries from other living entities. Miseries from, like insects or relatives that bug you or anything. Miseries from your own body and mind. So these are threefold miseries. Adi Atmika, Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika. And in reverse order from what I described. So such truth uproots the threefold miseries, because we're not going to be miserable if we don't identify with this body. If we understand it's all illusion anyways, where's the misery? We're in a spiritual level. We'll be spiritually happy. No mind what happens to the body around us. The soul is not the body. So this beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need for any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. Not saying we don't have to read the Bhagavad Gita, we don't have to read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and we can't ever read the writings of the other acharyas, previous acharyas, but meaning we should just keep coming back to the Bhagavatam, what is so great about it? The Bhagavatam tells us about Krishna's pastimes. Tells us about Krishna, how it looks like, what he acts like, what his qualities are, what his pastimes are. So this helps bring us up to speed for the spiritual world. So this is how it's for developing our love for him. So it's a long purport. It discusses what religion is meant here. Now the word religion can mean a lot of things in different contexts. We can use it to mean Krishna consciousness. It's a word that can be applied different ways. But like big can be used to a large apple. The word big can be a large apple. It could be a mountain. It can be used in different ways. Or it can mean an important person. But anyways, what did I start with? It wasn't supposed to be that much of a tangent. Religion, thank you, is, in this context, is meant to be such things as developing, it's a karma, artha, kama, moksha. Do your good deeds to get good artha, good results that you like, and then enjoy, and then look it over and say, well, how about liberation? So religion is for those things. Religion is for doing your duty and getting good karma and getting more enjoyment next time, like that. In this context, that's what religion means. Ultimately, real religion is supposed to lead to Krishna, but by this complicated, gradual route. So we are instructed to abandon all varieties of religion, all varieties of, completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself says the same thing to Arjuna in 1866. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions, do not fear. So don't think, oh good, I don't have to worry about all this Krishna consciousness stuff because that's a religion. No, it means materially motivated religion, because that's the end of the Bhagavad Gita and it's the beginning of the Bhagavatam, which is the next level. So Bhagavatam starts where Krishna brought Arjuna up to. Then Bhagavatam starts and it goes on from there. Somebody once really surprised me by saying the Bhagavad Gita is not teaching eternal, it's not eternal scripture. What? Of course it is. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna spoke it. Well, Krishna said we're not this body. And that's not eternally true. Because as soon as we get a spiritual body, we are that body. So it's only for the material world. And the Bhagavatam, however, because it describes Krishna, it does describe Krishna's pastimes in the material world, and it does describe some brief manifestations, like Lord Nrsimhadev, something. But it leads up to describing Krishna's pastimes as Krishna. And it leads up to understanding those four relationships with Krishna. The servant, the friend, the parent, the lover. These are eternal relationships with Krishna. And when you go to Goloka Vrindavan, you are in an eternal place. So what was the beginning of that sentence? So, anyways, abandon all varieties of religion and surrender unto Krishna means all varieties, because this verse hooks right up with the beginning of the Bhagavatam, where it says, completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated. Same thing. So this Bhagavad Purana propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. So here's the highest truth that the one before in Bhagavad Gita, Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mam evaishyasi satyante pratijane pyostune. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. So the whole Bhagavad Gita is saying that. And I was confused for a while, then I was confused for a long time because I was thinking I had misunderstood something, that the Bhagavad Gita does present 3 levels of knowledge, but Prabhupada does not stress it that way. He says 3 levels of confidential knowledge. Yes, there is Guyam Guyaktaram Guyaktamam. Guyam is the foundational knowledge. It's confidential, but not that confidential. Foundational knowledge that we're not this body, and that there is a transcendental, there's a God. And Guyataram is more confidential, but as Prabhupada describes it, it's simply heading toward most confidential, and the focus is on most confidential knowledge. And because it appears again and again in the Bhagavad Gita, one might think, where is this secret presented? Because it's been presented from the beginning. Well, Prabhupada gave us the secret right off the bat, that we're to love Krishna. And that's the secret. We're simply to abandon all varieties of religion, just love Krishna and surrender to Krishna and just go to Krishna where there's nothing else but serving Krishna and loving Krishna. That is the most confidential thing there is. And it's said again and again in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. It's again and again. So if, as a new devotee, I would think, well, where is this most confident? Read chapter 9 called Most Confidential Knowledge, and then get done reading it. And, well, where's the most confidential knowledge? Well, this is something we've been given all along. We've been given the whole thing from the start. This is the way Prabhupada presented. He gave us the most confidential knowledge, and we take it for granted. Oh, well, we know that, but it is really super confidential, because who knows that you just love Krishna? Who knows about Krishna? It's very confidential. And to just love Krishna, and you don't have to do these religious activities, or you may have to do them externally, but in your heart you abandon any attachment whatsoever. You may, as Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, you may do it for the benefit of those who are not as high realization. So, because if we don't have, this in the second verse of the Bhagavatam here in the purport, it describes that if we don't have a system of Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, if we don't have a system that has this Dharma, I said it wrong the first time, it's Dharma. If we don't have a system that gives us some religious practices, which is Dharma, some duty, if we don't, then we don't gain something material which gives us peace of mind and a stable position so that we can progress, and Artha, and then get Artha, that's Artha. Kama is we can enjoy, that's, in human ways, we can enjoy life, and moksha, we can then think about liberation. If we don't have that, we're not even humans. We don't have something of which is related to Varnashram Dharma, because Varnashram Dharma is a system for how society is organized in order to foster this Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, this progression, material progression toward purity, toward Krishna. But if one just relies on that by itself, it will not give us the most confidential knowledge. It will give us a religiousness where we worship God, and we have moral behavior, and we do our duties, and have some rituals to help us meditate on God. It will give us that. But it will not give us the most confidential knowledge. And there's no separate category of more confidential knowledge. It's all just about getting to most confidential knowledge. It's just a word that means going there. So, but if we don't have these systems, we would just be animals. So they have to be there. They have to be there to help society in a broad sense, help everybody be more God-oriented, more open to God. But ultimately, if we really want to make progress, we have to abandon that. And we have, in our hearts, we have to abandon it for pure love for Krishna. Because that's the real happiness, that's the real purpose of it. But it's hidden. It's not in the external visible systems of religion, and even other religions around the world. They are just different versions of Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, Varnashram, duties like that. They're just different, probably incomplete versions of that. And pray to God, go to the temple, go to the church, whatever, and have like that, and be moral. Gets us to the readiness point. If we aren't even that, we aren't going to be very successful in just loving Krishna, because we're going to go and blow it, because we're not controlling our external behavior yet. So we have to do that. So Prabhupada gave us both at the same time. He gave us rules and regulations, and he gave us the immediate clue that it's all about loving Krishna. And this is what Krishna looks like, and this is what he does. So you have to love him. So he gave us both simultaneously. And it was necessary, it was bold, it was an act full of faith on his part, and guided by Krishna. But, it's been a little confusing for human beings to grasp both at the same time. And it takes time to get everything sorted out so it functions the way it should. But we've been given the highest. So what's another one I was going to read? Let's see. In chapter 6 of the Gita, text 47. Yoginam atasavisham madgatinam taratmana shradhavan bhajate yomam same yuktatamo mataha. And of all yogis, the one with great faith who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga, and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. So in the purport, Prabhupada explains how if we want to really understand bhakti, we need to understand the other yogas, he says. And the reason is because they're in us. We start trying to serve Krishna, religiosity is in there because we're still materialistic. So we have to be able to identify and pass through the stages of the other yogas, karma yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, meditational yoga. So we psychologically, at least, have to pass through those stages because we have to be able to sort out and get it in line and get rid of these these material things in us, these material desires that we want to enjoy. We want to do good things so we get some good results. We want to get some knowledge so we understand what's going on and maybe we can transcend so we can transcend and have less pain. And we want to meditate and see Krishna because we want to be able to do that. So these are material desires that are Krishna conscious material desires in a sense, but they're not pure yet. So they indicate still remaining desires to enjoy. If we don't study the other yogas and the yoga ladder as Krishna has explained to Arjuna in these first 6, chapters 3, 4, 5, 6. He's explaining the yoga ladder. And you can even look and you can see where he takes Arjuna to the next rung on the ladder. You can see the exact verse if you study real carefully. And so he shows him these steps. Why? Because if we don't understand them, we'll be stuck in them. So we have to understand them. So, but we ultimately know that we are supposed to abandon all of this for pure devotional service. If we abandon too soon and we still have a lot of anarthas and desires, then they'll come out and be active again. So that's why we shouldn't abandon everything too soon. But that's why it's at the end of the Bhagavad Gita. And that's why, it starts with the Bhagavatam, but the Bhagavatam is considered higher than the Bhagavad Gita. So, and it's the next step up. So, the whole idea is to abandon those things that get us to Krishna consciousness. Almost it seems like abandoning a friend when you finally get what you want. But it's supposed to be, this case is supposed to be, because these other yogas, these other varieties of religion are our friends when we need them. But we are supposed to abandon them when we don't need them anymore. And we're supposed to understand that that's the goal. So, and it's not bad to abandon those friends, because they come from Krishna. Even in the Bhagavad Gita, I just closed it, but before that final verse I read, that final instruction, Krishna says, surrender to the Super Soul, who is guiding you all along. You surrender to him utterly, he's going to take you to me, basically. So then abandon all varieties of religion. So Super Soul is our friend, but in the spiritual world there's no Super Soul. Why? Because you see Krishna face to face all the time. You don't need Super Soul invisibly accompanying you, because you have Krishna face to face. Super Soul is Krishna coming to us here, following us, the same Krishna, but reducing his activities to just supporting us in our reduced activities, so we can come back to him, but he's there to help us come back to him. And then he'll be fully Krishna to us again. So we have to, even though these are our friends, even Super Soul, if we think of him as looking like Vishnu, eventually you'll see Krishna in whatever form you love Krishna best, which in this movement is probably Krishna as Radharani knows him, that Krishna Kalhagiri. And we will see whatever form we really love Krishna most in, we will see that in our heart, because Super Soul will begin to be more who he is to us in the spiritual world, versus Krishna. Okay, so let me read this verse again. Maharaj Krishna sat down firmly on the banks of the Ganges to concentrate his mind in Krishna consciousness, rejecting all other practices of self-realization. All he wanted was Krishna, because transcendental loving service to Krishna is the greatest achievement, superseding all other methods. So I'll stop here. Any comments or questions? I've silenced everybody. Even Krishna's father.
it speaks for itself.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. So well, I'm supposed to add to this. This is everything. But it's stated so many different places. I can pull together some of these different statements. So yeah, that's what I did, and everybody should go forth and always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna and serve him with all your heart. And all glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to Srimad Bhagavatam.
I have a